feels like the draft. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. Draft, draft, draft. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. It feels like the draft, 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 draft. No, I'm not going to give you what you want. I'm not going to give you this fun, happy, welcome to DraftBeat. No! Okay? We told you guys for months what you could expect. Okay? I told you at one point that they were going to go as low as 8 and then climb their fucking asses back out of the lottery and watch somebody else capitalize with our lottery odds and get the fucking back. We told you. The easiest way to fix all of this, we told you, and we were in line for it. You know what? I don't even care. I almost didn't even show up. I'm being honest. Like, I own stock in DraftBeat. I almost sold all of it because I was livid. But I couldn't do it to my fellow co-hosts, my fellow DraftBeat correspondents who have put in the work all year scouting the top 15 players in the draft for us to fall to 20. So now we got to catch up. Got to watch a whole new batch of fucking kids that they may or may not take. I don't know. But we're excited because this is the best time of the year for other fans. Anyways, Moose was right. We tried to tell you DraftBeat was right. And if DraftBeat was right, that means that these two other guys were right too. And I don't want to leave them out because I know they're just as pissed off as me. On my side, depending which way you're looking, which doesn't help the audio pod, Mr. Franky G with the latest and greatest brand new Twitter handle at IBFranky. So make sure you follow him. And Franky, please say hello.
You know what's funny? It's IB Franky G and fucking that was totally on G last time. Didn't update that for me. What's up, guys? I'm ready to talk puck, Florida Panthers, hockey, winners in this town. They deserve it. They deserve to talk.
They deserve all of the talk. They deserve all of the attention, and that's why we're only doing the hardest of 30s today because we all are getting ready for the Panthers. But Lou, Saucy Takes, didn't get the memo because he doesn't have the right hat on. But we're going to forgive him anyways because that's a badass-looking Freddy Krueger shirt, and this guy is ready to kill the draft process with his Saucy Take big boards. Coach Lou, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm wearing this shirt because I'm dead inside, much like Freddy Krueger. After all the bullshit that we had to sit through this entire season, it couldn't just be 82 games because God knows that he will never just play 82 games. They had to make it 84. And then on top of that, they said, no, we want 16 more. They only got 4 and got the fuck out of there. So, I'm dead inside as well. It's a sad day. It was a sad day, May 12th, probably one of the saddest days in franchise history. It should be at the fucking very minimum because watching both of your picks go to 1 and 2, my goodness, that Pat should have retired right then and there. I'm going to be honest.
Lou, I am so glad that you said that because that's exactly where I wanted to start. We haven't had a chance as a group to talk about the draft results together on air. You guys have heard me venting in the chat. I refused to be on Miami Heat beat. I still refuse to talk to Giancarlo Navas. They are not allowed to hear from me because I was right all year and we tried to tell them. But Lou, for those that don't understand the minutia of it, and Franky as well, you can jump in here. Let's just discuss how exactly did we get here? When we last talked all together draft beat wise, we were looking at possibly holding the 11th spot. And then we know what happened in the play-in. But if you don't mind, let's kind of just talk about where those picks ended up, because I think we're so focused on number 1 that a lot of people are forgetting the blunder that is the number 2 pick as well.
Yeah. Everybody's rightfully so. They're focusing on the 11th selection that went to the Mavs, which would have been ours had we just not made the playoffs. And everybody's saying we would have had 1.8. The Mavs won a coin toss. We would have had better chances than they would have. We would have gone from 1.8 to 2.0. So first of all, you're wrong. And second of all, the numbers that they were given would have been our numbers. So you're wrong. And third of all, we would have been, for majority of the second half of the season, we were actually the 8th team up until they went on that 6-game winning streak because culture, culture. That's what they wanted to say. They wanted everybody to believe. So they go on a 6-game winning streak. They beat up on the Washington Wizards and the Charlotte Hornets and the Utah Jazzes and the Washington Wizards and the Charlotte Hornets and the Utah Jazzes of the fucking association. And they say, we're ready for this play-in. We are ready. We're coming hard. And that 8th pick, which ended up being San Antonio's, jumped to 2. So if just one pick laughing in your face, going from 11 to 1 to get a borderline generational player, borderline, we don't know if he is or not, but he's right. He's pretty close. I'll tell you that. And
again, there's so many guys in the top 4 that even if Cooper's not your guy, you have an argument for it. That's how loaded this class is.
It's crazy. And it's crazy what one of those guys would have done for you, what any of the top 4 guys would have done for you in terms of team building, in terms of cap space, in terms of future with Bam, in terms of just future in general. Like, let's be honest, it doesn't have to be with Bam or without, like, just future in general. So many, it would have been a lot easier to build a contender or to get back to contention like that. But instead, here we are scouting the goddamn Noah Pendas and Noah Sengis and the Juwan Beringers and the
Philibon, who's great.
And LeBaron Philon. Like, here we are scouting.
Love him as Iron Man.
Yeah, love him as Iron Man. And here we are, man. Unfortunate but true. It would only happen to the Miami Heat because you know what? They never go all in to win a title, and they never go all out to get better. They are always, as of recently, they just like to flirt with mediocrity. But this time they took that bitch on a date. I apologize, but they did this.
So Franky, just to eloquently sum up what Saucy Takes was getting at here. Long story short, they don't even make the play-in, and they own the number 8 pick. That turned into number 2. They happen to make the play-in. All they needed to do was lose one of those 2 games to hold 11. They didn't. They lost 11, and 11 turned into 1. So they fucked themselves, like we said they were going to do all year. But Franky, you were the one beating the drum the most on Miami Heat Beat Radio, talking about that once they flattened the odds, it was an actual lottery, an even playing field. And we saw that play out now. So my question to you is, 1, how fucking right were we? And 2, do you think there's any possibility, and I really want to have this discussion, is there any possibility that the way that this all played out will finally get them to embrace the draft more? Because we're going to have a discussion later on what we think is going to happen with the pick. But I'm not sure that the mentality is going to change. Do you think this was a big enough, like, blow up in their face that maybe they'll be like, we may need to reassess our priorities?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, same.
They are planning on.
My God.
I don't think they'll change much. I think they look at these teams that didn't go free agent hunting, that didn't go win 60 games, and they're right in the playoffs. They're like, we're close. We're closer to Indiana than we think. We're closer to New York. We're closer to Minnesota. Like that's their mentality. And that's what bothers me, is that they haven't learned anything these last 10 years. They every time they think a mistake, they came up short. It's because of an injury, because of the basketball gods, because of this, because of that. Never ever makes them reevaluate their philosophy. And that bothers me, man. It doesn't take them to say, hey, we should try something different. This is they want to do it their way, and that's it's gonna be a success or a failure, but they want it that way. They're stubborn in their ways.
Yeah. Nick Carter, AJ, all of them. We all want it that way. And that's, I listen, I totally agree with you. And that's probably the most frustrating part of it. And Lou, we were talking about this earlier, and Frankie, I still want you in this discussion because this was just an open conversation that the way that they need to start building their team, they are still of the mindset of the last CBA, maybe even the CBA before that. You know what I mean? And the way that we're heading now, if you look at the playoffs as it is currently playing out, the teams that have really prioritized developing and drafting, and yes, they mixed in some big swings because you need to have a blend of all of it to come together. But it starts in the draft. It is foundationally built as the way that you would say in football, it's built in the trenches. Well, here it's built in the draft. And we're seeing it play out in the playoffs. So can you talk about this changing philosophy in the CBA today? And I think Bobby Marks even maybe hit on it earlier. I don't know if we have that graphic.
We do. Bobby Marks tweeted this out. Roster building in the NBA. You look at the two finalists in the Western Conference, Minnesota and OKC. They built their team largely through draft and trades, and lastly through free agency. You look at in this graphic, you can see here, Minnesota's 5 starters, 2 of them were drafted, 3 of them were trades. OKC had 2 drafted, 1 traded, 2 free agents. Their backups and their rotation is largely through the draft, combined 12 of players through the draft. And you can make the case. These are smart market teams. Miami shouldn't build the same way. They don't have that way. Miami doesn't have the free agent space to build that way right now. They'd have to let this whole season go to waste again, and they'll have legitimate free agent space in 2026 that they can start making moves and stuff like that. But it's just a different approach in this philosophy, and because of the CBA that has been done to build parity in the league, so make free agency pretty much die. Like there's no big
irrelevant.
The last big free agents we've seen change teams was like Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson wasn't considered at the time one of those marquee free agents anyways. So like there has to be an evolution in their mindset where they have to say, hey, this isn't working. We need to evolve. We need to adapt or die, because this is a change. This is something that they have to do. And having the luxury of being a trade destination place, free agent destination place, you have those. But I think what the flattening of the lottery odds, it has signified is that you can't bank on just one way. You can't just tank. You can't just hope for trades. You can't just hope for free agents. You have to use all 3. And they've largely ignored the asset management to get involved in the trade market. And they said, we just need a star to say yes. We just need a star to say only Miami. But they don't have the fucking assets that the other teams want. You need 2 teams to tango. And they're dancing by themselves.
It's funny. They want to be involved in every discussion, but they can't get in the discussion. They're outside the discussion saying, say Miami, say Miami, say Miami. But you don't have anything to give. And you haven't prioritized acquiring that stuff. And also to the other side of it, you haven't valued free agency in the way that you should. And what I mean by that is there are certain players that you should be targeting that are below value, that can get you more, that are younger, that you could develop and possibly bank on and hold on longer. None of these Alec Burke retreads. No disrespect to him because he was great from 3, but there needs to be a shift we are not in the win now mode. We are in the let's compete to win tomorrow. And Lou, I just don't see. And I want to get back to our draft pick because this is where it all comes together. I agree with Frankie. I think there is no one way to build a team in today's CBA. It's a blend of all of them. But because of the limited assets that we currently have, how can we realistically make any changes this year and not include that pick?
How can we realistically make any changes this year? When we say changes, are we talking about to put this team in some kind of contention?
Yeah, I'm talking about actually shaking shit up, and I hate to use the term running it back, but that's what I mean. Not running it back. Well,
Yeah,
I need to see drastic changes made, and
realistically,
whether
they need about a
work or not.
10-game improvement. They're
Yeah.
trying to jump those 10 games. 47 wins gets you in that conversation.
Yep.
And you hope with Spo, Bam, Tyler, and whoever they get, they can compete in the East, which is going to be a weaker East.
Yeah.
As we look at it right now.
Yeah, I still, like the key word there, Moose, is realistically. I don't see a realistic path to them improving this team to the point where they can get to 47 to 50 wins and be a contender next year. I don't see that unless they literally use up all of their assets to try and bring somebody home and it works. The chances of that, and then that's where different philosophies come in. In my opinion, I don't think it's worth it, just because I'm tired of them building for today and today and today, and all the Heat have done is basically accumulate debt. Think of it like that. They're just accumulating debt, and at some point they're going to pay it, and they're already starting to pay it. So now they're just going to take out another loan for another 1 to 2 years, and debt their whole future arsenal of picks, which it's not like they have many anyways. Thank God they traded Jimmy Butler, right, to get at least one pick back. But basically what I'm trying to get at is I don't think they are in the cashing in your asset stage, because I don't think they have enough assets to cash in to field a contender and to then have extra assets, because obviously we only talked about the teams in the West, but if we talk about the teams in the East, like the Knicks and the Pacers, the Knicks ended up hitting on a free agent. And then what they did was they had a bunch of draft assets. They started getting players who fit them with their draft assets. It's not saying you have to make all these picks. It's just saying you have to have them, because in the same way that free agency doesn't move the league, draft picks do. That's the new cap space. The new cap space is picks.
That is capital. That is capital. That is currency in today's CBA.
Exactly. It's the best way to put it, currency. And, realistically, it's not like the Heat have much currency to start with. So I don't see a realistic path to them acquiring somebody. Maybe, like, I think the name everybody wants is obviously Kevin Durant, right? Like, that's because he's aging. Maybe he could be had for cheap. When was the last time that he got a star for cheap? Through a trade. Jimmy was a sign-in trade, and they still gave up a first-round pick. Like, it's
and more. To be able to move other guys to
exactly.
No,
they had to maneuver so hard to bring one person in, and
that pick is finally conveying this year.
That pick is finally conveying that pick would have been our fucking Cooper Flagg or our Dylan Harper had they not made the playoffs. But realistically, that's the debt you get yourself into. And it's not like, to Franky's point, like, I don't think they've learned from this. I don't think they've learned from this.
But Frankie,
sorry.
I don't think they've learned from it either. But I wanted to go to you here now with this pick. I want to know both. What do you think they will do, and what would you do? We've been right about everything. So what should they do?
Well, we're going into this draft beat season. We're gonna announce it here, and we'll remind you at the end. This is the first show Tuesdays for the all the way until the draft. We're gonna go every Tuesday. We might do some extra shows here and there. We'll announce it ahead of time. But just to let you know, every Tuesday up until the draft. We're going to do it the Tuesday. The draft's on a Wednesday. The Tuesday before, we'll do a mock draft, our final mock draft, obviously. And we'll do a live show as well on the night of the draft. We're going to go into this until it happens. And if it happens, we're going to go into this with the mindset that they're keeping the pick.
Yes. We want to approach our scouting process and all the information that we give you as if these are guys that they're realistically looking at and could very well be on our team next year.
For sure.
But with that being said, Frankie, let's.
But for today's show, we will talk about this. I think they should keep the pick. I think they need
100%.
Lottery tickets. I think they need young talent, young infusion. I think they need a development year. Like, you have so many young guys that were struggling to get playing time and stay and get comfort in their roles and stuff like that. And they don't know who they are. And you haven't built around anybody. You haven't built around Tyler's strengths and weaknesses, Bam's strengths and weaknesses. You haven't built around anybody. You're a bottom 10 offense in the league. You got killed in at home in the playoffs. You're a 37 win team. Like I stress that because when they went 30-11, they focused so hard on the 30-11 and not that they missed the playoffs. That they were they were right at 500.
Not the first half of the season.
Yeah, that doesn't count because it doesn't help our argument that we're a good team. And then they proceeded to invest in that core, and they won one playoff game over 4 years. Okay, that cannot be they have to learn that lesson. This team is not good enough. This core is not good enough, and they need to make substantial changes. I strongly think this is going to end up in a Kevin Durant miss, and I think they're going to end up with somebody like DeMar DeRozan.
Ew.
And yeah, it's going to put a bandage on this sinking ship.
DeMar DeRozan, but don't forget that we got Kashad Johnson in the stable, okay? A
Just
year
like a
of seasoning in the culture, and that's exactly how they're going to pivot. They're going to tell us that Kashad Johnson is the same as a late lottery pick.
Yeah.
And fans will eat it up.
But like I know we all like this draft a lot. I think they have potential with if they take a flyer. I think they should reach for upside on this. Best player available, obviously. And I think they need some help, like some significant help, especially offensively. They've been bottom 10, sometimes bottom 5 in offense the last 3 years. You saw how much they struggled to score. They struggled to look like a modern offense in just the way they run sets. I think they need to stop ignoring this. I personally think they need to stop ignoring this point guard by committee, these G League guys, and they need to actually draft talent. My belief is it's hard to find point guards as undrafted free agents because in college, you're a point guard, you have the ball in your hands. It's hard to find a diamond in the rough there. The only guys that we've seen become anything that were undrafted are guys like Fred VanVleet, and that's because he's 5'10".
Mm-hmm.
And
Gabe Vincent.
Yeah. Those are smaller guys, small schools. Like those guys can slip through the cracks because the competition they face. The scouts don't believe all that stuff, but whatever. But I think this needs to be a best player available. I would if things are even, I lean guard. But I think there's like 25 guys that I think will be selected within these first 20 picks. So I think there's going to be like 5 guys that they can select on draft night that will give them a good step in the right direction, help to add to the core, and potentially be a key piece to the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we've been saying it all year. It is a deep draft. There is there's talent to be had later in the first round. There really is. But I wanted to pull up this message here from our guy, David Johnson. Dave, if you are who you think you are, miss you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. And if you're not, then, fuck it. I hope you're doing well too. But I wanted to pull up this comment. It says, we need to trade Bam or Tyler for a rising star like the Pacers traded Sabonis for Halliburton. And I'm so glad that someone said this because I have been screaming it in our DraftBeat chat for a long time. I've actually been screaming it in the Miami Heat Beat chat, but one Giancarlo como se mierda Navas doesn't want to hear it. Yeah, that's the one. But here's the thing, and this is going to be my last point. Yes, I totally agree. They should hold on to the pick and take best player available because I think there's a pretty good chance that someone will start to fall and you can actually get a serviceable talent. Like I don't think everyone's going to be going after the same player, the same position. So someone will fall. But with that being said, I've been saying all year, I don't think that we are any different than the Nets were with Mikal Bridges. And I say that as I love Bam, but Bam on this team, what are you? And we don't have the assets to actually dig ourselves out of this hole like organically with Bam, and you're going to waste his prime years. I think there really is a case to be made that nobody is untouchable. And if you can get all of the first round picks, a young star, I mean, I don't know what the package is, but the package that you will get for Bam is substantial. And that is how you truly reset from the ground up. Yep. Something this Heat team refuses to ever do, but they seriously need to consider.
Yeah, it's to like it's crazy because I feel like we've been saying this. I mean, I've been saying it in private too, and obviously in public, and getting absolutely shamed for it. But the title favorites in this moment in time, they did this in 2018 with Paul George coming off a top 3 MVP season. The reason they're here today is because they got an SGA in that deal, because they got 6 first-round picks in that deal. Like, it's tough decisions, much like the Pacers did with when they traded Sabonis and got Halliburton, like they said, like it's
but the other two teams, the Randall for Towns trade has helped both teams out.
That's the point I just wanted to make, Frankie. That and everybody that's in it now is showing you there's a new way that it needs to be done.
Sometimes you got to make a difficult trade.
Absolutely, difficult trades are necessary, and everybody wants to trade the players that we don't like. Nobody likes those players either. Get that through your fucking heads. The guys that you want on this team are the same guys other teams want to help them compete. It's gonna happen. Like it's the way it is. And just to add on, and I'm not advocating for trading Bam because I love Bam. I'm not advocating it from the standpoint that I don't think Bam is good. I'm advocating from the standpoint that I think he's our quickest way to get us back to where we want to be sustainably in the future. Because another thing to take into consideration is this upcoming season is Bam's last year under his last extension before his Supermax kicks in, or whatever, his like $55 million a year kicks in. And that just makes it a little bit tougher to build around him. And it's not saying that he's not worth that money. It's just saying, with the current asset pool that the Miami Heat currently have at their disposal, it makes it damn near impossible, considering there is no free agency and everything is done by draft or trades, for you to build a sustainable roster around your cornerstone player. So if you're coming down those two crossroads, I just don't want it to get to the point where we're mediocre for 2-3 seasons and Bam asks out when his value is at his lowest.
And yes, that is what I am afraid is going to happen, Frankie. Yep. I want to kick it to you because I'm curious how you feel about this as well. But I'm not trying to turn this into a trade Bam show. I love Bam. I would love for him to be here for the entirety of his career. But what we are trying to talk about is, how do we really get ourselves out of this mess? What's the best way to do it? And if we get to the point where Bam is asking to be let out, we lose whatever package is realistically up for grabs right now when we need it.
Yeah, and you guys know I'm a big Bam proponent. I just think that if you're rebuilding, like if you're looking at this objectively, like there's no real need to have a Tyler Hero or a Bam Adebayo on this team.
No, let's focus on Bam. Let's focus on Bam.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No. Let's focus on Bam because the Tyler decision should have been made years ago. He should be off this team.
Well, I think with both of those guys, it's just like they do have shortcomings, and they need a team specific. Like I said earlier, they need a team built around them, and that's not to diminish them. Every player in the NBA, whether in the draft or on a current roster, whatever their contract or veteran status is, they have weaknesses. You need to build around them and diminish their weaknesses and enhance their strengths. You look at Nikola Jokic, the best player in the league. They couldn't get past the first round until they got Aaron Gordon. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they didn't find real success until they got Aaron Gordon to balance his weaknesses. Mm-hmm. That's not to say he's a bad player because he needs somebody to make him better, their team better.
Having a team.
That's called having a team. You play with 5 guys, and Bam needs spacing. He needs a pick and roll ball handler, and they don't have that. They don't really have that. Tyler needs length around him. He needs a ball handler to take the pressure off him as well. They don't have that either. They need depth. That they don't have any of that right now. They're a 37-win team. So if you objectively wanted to rebuild it, moving them, those two guys who can help a good team makes sense. Starting over, but yeah, they made the Western Conference Finals.
Don't even acknowledge him. Nobody likes him. Just keep going.
But they still needed him to win the championship. There's no fucking player in this league in the world that is perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So they need more than that, and this team's far away from getting those assets. Like you talk about getting a Kevin Durant, they're gonna flush all their assets to get Kevin Durant, and they still need a lot more, which was our point at the trade deadline when this became a thing, when this whole hypothetical started. They needed a lot more. This is not a good team. They need a lot of two-way talent that they don't have. They need athleticism. They don't have that. They're horrible offensively. They don't have talent on that end to really bring them. Bam is a walking top 10 defense. All right. They don't have anything else on that side. And teams will value that because this is a league of parity right now.
And the teams that are close will overpay for that,
for sure.
Which is what you want, you know? And also to that point, because I already know what we're going to get in the comments. Just wait. Ant's going to come. Just wait. This person's going to come. Just like we started the show, free agency doesn't exist anymore. Okay. And if you want to get involved in the trades, then you really need pieces, and you will never have the pieces until you start accumulating and building up that cupboard with assets. And this discussion is not saying to do it. We're just saying the easiest way to build up that cupboard is by trading off your best player. And I want to end this Bam discussion on this note because I'm just curious, and then we won't get into it the rest of the shows. We're going to focus on the guys in the draft. Like 100%. Like we said, we're going to do it every single Tuesday. So you'll be back with us next week and we'll start talking about the draft guys. But I just have to ask, final question on this note. We'll go around the room. Would you trade Bam for a lottery pick in this upcoming draft?
For just one? No.
Well, I'm saying, would you trade Bam to get into the top 10, basically? Let's put it like that.
Depends how high.
Depends how high and depends what else. Yeah. Like I'm not trading Bam for like let's say the Spurs don't end up getting Giannis and they offer us 2 for Bam and that's all they offer. I'm still not doing it. And I love Dylan Harper.
Wow. Yeah, interesting. You would not take number 2 for Bam.
No.
Because I wasn't even thinking that high, but that's interesting.
I wouldn't even take. I honestly, like, there's a good conversation for number 1 too, and I don't think that's going to be on the table because they have live.
No. We are talking hypotheticals. Yeah, listen, I don't even think Bam gets traded. I'm being honest with you. I think Bam is here for the long run. You know,
Bam's going to ask out when he's 31.
Look, that's ultimately what I think is going to happen, unfortunately. And maybe that day never comes. But I think we are more likely than not heading to a point where if we ever do end up moving him, we're going to miss the opportunity to actually make a sizable
I think like to focus on the draft and the stuff, like it's also about getting other assets as well.
Of course.
Moving off guys like you don't really have long-term plans for, like Duncan Robinson, if he should have been shopped harder. Highsmith, Wiggins, they should have been looking to flip guys for contenders and add stuff to get more assets. I didn't like Kuminga, but like if you were planning on using Wiggins like that, like you should have gotten Kuminga to get more upside.
Totally agree, Frankie.
Like totally agree. It should have been stuff like that. Like you're taking flyers on young guys. Like little, you never know. Like the Davion is a perfect example. Like he was a throw-in, and they took a chance on him, and not everybody loves him. They want him back, and he deserves a shot. Arguably, is their starting point guard next year, probably. But like and
by the way, part of that was what I was
flyers
mentioning.
Work.
Part of that was what I was mentioning with free agency. By the way, like again, no disrespect to Alec Burks, but why not a Lonnie Walker? Why not someone that you could, actually have around for more than a year? Davion Mitchell was a great example of that.
Yeah. It's also just about like not being attached to these guys once you find them. Like, I like Davion, but if he's not like a serious, he's probably like maxes out like at best like a TJ McConnell, like a spark plug off the bench, which is a good player. But like that shouldn't stop you from getting some assets if you can, just because you need some of those guys. Those guys are replaceable, and they do need to utilize their asset management and long-term views a little bit more. I joke about it with you guys, but like the coaches that have the mindset of like this season never work. It almost never worked because Doc Rivers, Stan Van Gundy, because they're coaching for this season. They don't think long-term views. You look at a guy like Brad Stevens had to make harder decisions, because but I think that part of that is from his background as a college coach. You have to recruit thinking development. You have to think long term as well. And
it was a philosophical thing with him that it was easier to
exactly
adapt to. Yeah,
exactly.
That's a great point.
And I think the Heat, like, I know it's not just Pat, I know it's not just Spo, but I think they need to like really I think they're all under the same umbrella and that they all have similar mindsets. And I think they need to just like think long term a little bit more. Especially when it comes to the and with Spo specifically.
Yep.
Like I know part of this was to try to make the playoffs because of the lottery protections and stuff. They wanted to give him the pick. But man, like, I'm sorry, Slow-Mo should not be fucking playing over Jaime. Burke should not be playing over Josh Christopher. Like these are guys that need fucking reps. And as like honestly, we all know this, but like you don't like Jovic, where these guys might not reach their potential. They probably won't. Realistically, they probably won't. But if you don't actually develop them and put time into them and effort,
then you're
making like this is one of the only fucking teams that you have to do all your development outside of the court. You have to do all your development in the off season. If you don't come into the season with this, we're not going to give you the reps to get better. We're not going to do that. We're not going to get you in position to make mistakes. Like they need to. I need to. If they do not fit, like I think the plan is KD and or veteran and try to win, and I get that. But if they don't, the plan B they always avoid talking about. They like we've seen when they missed on Donovan, KD the first 4 times, they never have a fucking plan B, and that burns them. If they don't get to do that, they need to pivot and develop. If it's a tough season, if they're in the lottery, they have the fucking pick now. They have nothing to worry about, but they need to fucking have that in mind as an organization.
Freddy Krueger, take us home because I want to get a pizza.
No, yeah, and just to like add on to Franky's point about like okay, it's not like the Miami Heat have had a stable front office head coaching group for over a decade. Like let's be very honest here. It's not like Spo just signed an extension. His job is not in jeopardy.
Yeah.
They can be like, Spo, we want to build this out with you. We have no expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you think is right for us.
Lean into it.
Long term. And then just to wrap it all back into like this draft process and in specific with this 20th pick, all we're asking for is whoever they take, don't be old. We don't want a senior. We don't want a senior, guys.
No, it's true. We all want to take a swing with this pick. Yeah.
Take a swing. If you suck next year, you have your own pick. It doesn't matter. You don't have to end up with 1, 2, 3, or 4 to draft a stud, but it just makes it so much easier if you're at 6, 7, or 8 to draft that guy as opposed to you being 15, 17, 18, 19, 20. Like it's not even in the same realm. So it's just
I totally agree. I'm glad that we are all aligned. We want a youth movement. We want to lean into development. We want to really just go for I want a senior. What the fuck, Carla Tiana? Are you not listening? We all want to go young, but Carla, Tiana, Pat Riley, they want to go old. So I guess they'll probably trade the pick. I don't know. Listen, we want to start getting ready for the Panther game. This was a hard 30 that turned into a hard 40, but that's what we do here on DraftBeat. We start talking about stuff and it gets away from us. However, we're going to tighten it up and we're going to actually get into these guys that will hopefully be on the board when we're at the pick. Guys that we are really into, guys that Saucy Takes is going to have to explain to me because, like I said, I only looked at the top 8. So we're going to get into all of that starting next week, every single Tuesday leading up to the draft. And I'm looking forward to it, guys. DraftBeat is back and better than ever, although it could have been a lot better with the number 1 pick.
Would you imagine if we got the number 1 pick and we had it would have ruined our schedule, honestly.
We just needed to make one show and put it on repeat every other day.
Shit, that would have been great.
Would have been the fucking easiest show of all time.
It would have been. It feels like Cooper Flag.